Okay, joining us now on India Upfront is Vedic scholar Dushyanth Shridhar. Dushyanth, thanks very much for speaking to us. I know you don't weigh never on political matters, but that's the whole point. Do you see the Prime Minister's visit to Kanyakumari to meditate as a political move or otherwise?
Namaskaram Padmaja, namaskaram to all the viewers. We have 10% of our seats going for the election in the last phase. Please exercise your right to vote. It's been a very hot summer and the Honorable Prime Minister has every right to go to a place where he chooses to go. So he doesn't have to give a rationale to anybody, and I don't think we should see a lot of political messaging in this. That said, of course the place holds of immense spiritual significance to us, Padmaja, like how we treat Prayaga Kshetram in Uttar Pradesh, where Ganga, Yamuna and Antarvahini Saraswati get together in the fresh waters. In Kanyakumari, we see the Arabian Sea, the Bay of Bengal and the Indian Ocean coming together. So that is in the salt water. So that's a Prayaga Kshetram in a way, a confluence. And it is the very Kshetram where one yatra began, where Shakti was ridiculed. And it is the same place where Shakti stays as Kanyakumari. And Vedam says, Katyayanaya vidmahe, Kanyakumari dhimahe, tanno durgif prachodayat. So Durga Devi stays as Kanyakumari there. And the Honorable Prime Minister might have felt that there is so much of spiritual significance. Besides this, the rock is also the place where Swami Vivekananda meditated for a span of 3 days. And there has been a namesake connection. He's called Narendra Damodar Das Modi and Vivekananda was called Narendra Nath. So probably that namesake connection is also drawing him there. So I don't think people should read too much of messaging as to why the Prime Minister is meditating there. Like the last time he went to Kedarnath in the Himalayas, probably this time he thought might as well reach Kanyakumari Kshetram where Shakti is venerated. What's wrong in that?
Again, the choice. Kedarnath in 2019
Hello?
and Kanyakumari this time. Why?
Okay. So Kedarnath is a part of the state of Uttarakhand and it is a larger part of the Himalayas. Maybe in the last regime he resolved the issue in the Himalayas pertaining to Article 370. Probably he sees that there is a lot of trash that is being thrown in the name of Dravidian ideology in the south of India and he wants to get that cleared in the next term.
Very interesting you say that, because you know,
that could be the political
this whole election may not have overtly been about Sanatan Dharma, but it was always there in the ether. The issue of Ram Mandir, Mathura, Kashi, Ayodhya, etc. Then the abuse of Sanatan Dharma. And yet, the Prime Minister has chosen a place which isn't overtly religious, isn't it, Dushyanth?
I feel Kanyakumari is extremely religious and spiritual as well, Padmaja. Why is it not religious? Because we have an important kshetram for Durga Devi, who's called Kanyakumari, and the place itself is called by the Devi's name. And we also see the confluence. See, in Sanatana Dharma, it is just not the temple that deserves accolades and mention. It is also the Tirtham, the waters. So we go to Ganga, we go to Gangotri, Yamuna, Yamunotri, Kaveri, Talakaveri in Karnataka. So every kshetram has waters in it, and we have been river valley civilizations from the past. So this is a place where 3 water bodies, of course salt water bodies, get together. It is a very important spiritual place as well, a religious place as well, and it is said that Swami Vivekananda did become Swami Vivekananda after meditating on the rock. So it holds immense spiritual and religious significance. And one more thing to add, Padmaja, you find the huge rock statue of Saint Thiruvalluvar. And for a very long time, his famed work Tirukkural has been detached from Sanatana Dharma or Hinduism, whereas the work on the contrary has all its basis on Sanatana Dharma. Maybe he has chosen the place as a confluence of spiritual, religious and literary value. Who knows?
Exactly. And one of the projects which has been very close to his heart has been the Kashi Tamil Sangamam. And here you have the Member of Parliament from Kashi in Tamil Nadu nothing short of a Sangamam in that sense. On a day, by the way, when Kashi is going to be voting among other seats.
Very true, very true. It's also been a norm amongst various astikas in Sanatana Dharma, the Hindus. If they have to go to the Jyotirlinga Sthalas, they go to Kashi, where he's called as Vishwanatha. Lord Shiva is called as Vishwanatha. And when they come down to Tamil Nadu, there is a Jyotirlinga Sthalam called Rameshwaram. So it has always been said as a dvandvam, a duel, Kashi, Rameshwaram. So people who go on a spiritual yatra, a religious yatra, go to Kashi, go back to Rameshwaram and take the waters from the oceanic waters and go back to Kashi. So it's always been a norm that way. So he represents Kashi, a Jyotirlinga Sthalam. Maybe he thought might as well go to another Jyotirlinga Sthalam, which is Rameshwaram. Just as you cross the shores and come, you see Kanyakumari, which is a famous Shakti Peetham. So I do feel that there is a lot of significant value. Of course, Padmaja, when you spoke initially, you gave an intro stating that there has been a political connotation and there have been a few leaders. The Honorable Chief Minister of West Bengal did ask who's going to watch those photos, will a cameraman take the photos and so on and so forth. That said, in India, there has been audience for everything. If the Prime Minister goes with a cameraman, there are people to watch those photos. There are people to buy Mamta Banerjee's paintings. There are people to listen to the bhajans sung by Farooq Abdullah on Lord Ram. So I feel there is audience for everything. And so probably they're just catering it that way.
Now, what do you make, since you brought up the issue of politics, in 2019, I remember when the Prime Minister was meditating, there was that very famous picture of him where he was in solitary meditation. Now, when that picture came out, it was mocked, it was ridiculed. A lot of people, senior politicians said this is a classic example of a camera GV. What do you make of that?
I would say marketing and publicity management, media management has become a part and parcel of every job. So I feel the highest job in the country with respect to the Prime Ministership, that does warrant that. Probably that will positively induce a lot of the young people into meditation. Yes, there are a lot of gurus who are as such inculcating this habit of meditation amongst the young generation of our country. Maybe as a Prime Minister, he feels that this value should also be imbibed. So my point is there a problem with the Prime Minister meditating? Or is there a problem with the announcement that he's going to meditate? Or is there a problem that photos will emerge out of his meditation? So in whichever way, I don't think it is something which is antisocial. There are bigger issues. There is a lot of drug issue. A few months back in the state of Tamil Nadu, there was a big consignment of a person linked to the drug consignment caught. So all this should be probed. These should be the public issues. Whether the Prime Minister chooses to meditate for a day or not should not be the botheration of anybody. And I feel as a person, as a Karyakarta in the last 30 to 50 years, he has always been a part of his sojourns to the Himalayas and he has been meditating. So I don't think this should become a big hullabaloo about it. And he finds solace in meditation. If at all somebody wants to imbibe this, let them. If somebody does not want to, let them not. So I don't think this warrants any kind of harping or criticism at this point in time, especially he's doing it after the election, the proper machinery of his rallies is over. So I don't think this is something that's a big crime that has to be commented upon. Everything he does, probably, tomorrow they may say, okay, he's breathing in and out. So that's a big thing. So I don't think these are big things that should be debated. Padmaja. Rather, it should be saluted. Probably in the Western countries, or probably in our very own country, we have seen leaders who take off to Bangkok and to the European countries. To European countries and Bangkok, we have seen leaders go. Probably here is one person, after such a long list of rallies, he is choosing to meditate on a rock. Without alcohol or without smoking. That in itself should be celebrated. This would not be the scene in any of the Western countries. They'll be partying somewhere. We have a Prime Minister who goes to a rock and meditate. This should be a message that should be sent to the youngsters, stating that you can live a life like this. So rather than harping on such points as to why is he meditating and why is he taking a cameraman. Yes, Padmaja.
But don't you think there's a religious connotation also? When you have an election happening, when polling is happening, to see somebody in a state of meditation, I am guessing some people are uncomfortable with the religious connotation and, sort of a religious fervor being whipped up in the voter.
What is a religious connotation? For example, had he gone to one of the hill stations in Wayanad, will that be a better option for those people who are criticizing? So it is his prerogative to choose a place that gives him solace. If he as an individual feels that the Vivekananda rock in Kanyakumari is going to give him solace, that's his choice. It is his prerogative. It's a democratic country. We keep holding the constitution book in every rally. So I don't think so even if it is a religious connotation, so what? So what? So let's say a panelist who adheres to the religion of Islam comes with a skull cap. So his skull cap is also a religious connotation. Will he take it off just before the election? So anything can be treated as Jayalalitha ji used to sport her tilakam. Tilakam is a part of the Sanatana Dharma. Did she take it away during the election rallies? She very promptly and proudly sported it. So I don't think you can separate Sanatana Dharma, Hinduism, the culture, the civilization from any part of India. We may wish to you keep harping on the word secular, but the way we understand in India secularism is everybody follows their faith and every faith needs to be respected. He has presented various shawls to Ajmer Dargah, he has met the Pope, he has met religious leaders of the Sikhism, he has taken part in the conferences of Buddhism, he has met the monks of Jainism. So what's the problem if he goes to a place like Kanyakumari where it has some Hindu connotation? I don't think there's anything wrong in this.
Dushyanth Shridhar, a lot of chatter that I read was about how Modi ji in the recent past has said, I feel like मेरे को ईश्वर के काम के लिए भेजा गया है. Then for him to meditate at Vivekananda Rock. There were some people who felt that is Mr. Modi now almost trying to project himself as a saint of sorts.
I would read it this way. It's my interpretation. There is divinity, Paramatma in each of us. In Padmaja, in me, in the camera person, in all the Astikas who are watching your show. So there is this divinity in each of us. We believe in Sanatana Dharma. Paramatma stays as Antaryami, as a witness in everybody. This is what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. That said, it is only a handful of people who realize this mission in them, that they have been born with a purpose and work towards it. A handful of them. So I honestly feel that as a citizen, it is my view that he has realized the purpose of his life. And the purpose of his life is paropakarartham idam shariram, to serve the country and its people, which he has been doing it for the last 30 to 50 years incessantly, without a single corruption case against him, which in itself is a big feat, big achievement. So I feel he was talking about the purpose of human life and the purpose of divinity inside every person, human life. If he had projected himself as God or as a saint will retire to the forest, or God will buy another island and go. He has done neither. So I feel his purpose is to serve, which he has been telling. He has always said that kya kar raha hu, kya karna hai, that work is very important. So he treats work as worship, and he has been doing. He has not taken a single day off. So I feel all these points of whether he treats himself as a saint or not should not be the botheration of any of the political leaders. They should be concerned only about the politics. Padmaja.
Final question I want to ask you, Dushyanth Shridhar. From doing the consecration of the Ram Mandir to the Anushthan that he did before, to going around to temples across the country as a part of that Anushthan, to now the meditation, first in Kedarnath, now in Kanyakumari. Has the Prime Minister succeeded in putting India's culture and religious ethos front and center? Is that message hitting home? I ask you as somebody who's interacting on a daily basis with other Astikas.
See, honestly, if you look at the domestic tourism map of India and the international tourism map of India, the state that receives the maximum number of tourists is Tamil Nadu, followed by Uttar Pradesh. Tamil Nadu has a government at the realm which, in principle, does not believe in religion, nor do they believe in any of the Hindu practices in particular. They don't wish for any of the festivals, but Tamil Nadu receives the maximum footfall. And the footfall is just not for hill stations like Ooty and Kodaikanal and Yerkad. It is majorly for the temples that were built by the Chola, the Pandya, the Nayaka, the Vijayanagara, the Pallava kings. So all these temples that Tamil Nadu projects and as a part of its tourism is built by kings out of devotion in Sanatana Dharma. So if the Prime Minister's, Honorable Prime Minister's acts or actions are going to promote and motivate the domestic tourists as well as tourists from the neighboring and faraway countries to visit the temples of our country through his appearances, through his photographs, through his videos, why not? This is going to give job to so many people. There are people who sell lamps outside the temples. There are people who sell flowers outside the temples. There are people who sell oil for the lamps. So all of them will survive because if the tourists increase, and if the Prime Minister is adding his own share of increasing the tourists, I feel that's a good thing to do. I think all religious leaders should also do. I think some other religious leaders too went to temples like Mahakaleshwar and Ujjain. So they are doing the right thing. I wouldn't say they are doing it for Photoshop or something. Let them do. Let them continue doing. And as they continue doing, let them not call this as Jumla. If this is Jumla, then other leaders visiting the temples is also equally Jumla, right?
100%. Dushyanth Shridhar, pleasure as always speaking to you. Thanks for joining us.